conversations, but we will just get started, and then afterwards, if you want to continue networking in this area, feel free to hang out and meet each other. Thank you so much for joining us at Startup Stories for September. I have to think of what month it was this year. It's gone so fast. Thank you so much. Before we begin, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered, the Awabakal and the Worimi people, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you, guys. So I was going to do a big introduction, but I feel like it's much better to just hand straight over to Storm. So can we all please welcome Storm Menzies?
Thank you. Oh, I'm going to have to figure out how...
So that's next.
This one?
Yeah. And it should just... Yeah.
Nope. Oh, there we go. Okay. This feels very awkward, but hello everyone, I'm Storm. Thank you so much for coming. It's so early. I was just saying before, like I probably would have not come to see me because I would be late because this is very early, so thank you. I really appreciate it. But I guess like should I sit? Maybe that's a bit more comfortable. So my story kind of started about 2.5 years ago. And it started with breaking my dominant hand, which for most people is just not a big deal, right? You've got the other one, it's inconvenient, but not really that big of a deal. For me, it turned out to be a heaps bigger deal than I was originally expecting. That is because I have mild cerebral palsy that affects the right side of my body. But to be honest, I've lived with very, very few challenges. I mean, I had to give up on my childhood dream of being a dentist, which I know is an odd dream. But other than that, I've lived with very, very few challenges because I compensate so much with my left hand. I basically do everything. But when my hand was in a cast, and that's my good dominant hand was in a cast, I was left to rely on the other side of my body. And I went to do my makeup, honestly, without thinking, just getting ready to go out, and suddenly I couldn't open a tube of mascara at all, let alone hold it steady. And I was like, I'm not the kind of girl who can go 3 months on my hands in a cast and not wear makeup. I'm like, this is an issue. So I did, the obvious thing that you do, which is you Google. You're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna need accessible makeup. And there was like nothing. There was one brand in the US that didn't ship to Australia. I'm like, this is so weird. Like there's gotta be something. And as I was researching more, I realized makeup requires a lot of fine motor control and dexterity, and that was something that had been completely overlooked. And I've given you guys some gloves there and some makeup. Now, these are arthritis stimulating gloves. Now, the real ones, which they're about $1,000 a glove, so these are my DIY versions. So I'd like you to put them on if you have a glove, and as we go through this, I want you to put it on and have a play with some of the makeup and see if you can open it, hold it, use it. Now the paddle pop stick should go on the outside of your hands. I saw like everyone do it the wrong way. I'm like, okay. Now, what you will probably realize is that makeup requires a lot of fine motor control. And if you have any kind of dexterity challenges or you have arthritis or anything that affects your fine motor control, doing makeup is really, really hard. So have a play with the makeup and see how you would actually do it if you were going to put foundation on, if you were going to open a tube of mascara, all the different steps in that and how much more difficult it makes it when things aren't designed in an accessible way. Now, I had worked in the disability space for 10 years. I'd worked with lots of people with disability, and it took my own lived experience to understand how big the problem is. So that's why I wanted to bring the gloves today and let you guys have a feel of how challenging it can be for so many people who are just never considered when it comes to makeup and beauty. Now, when I was trying to find a solution, I called one of my friends and I asked her how she did her makeup. She has a high-level disability. And I asked her thinking she's going to be able to tell me all these accessible beauty brands that I just couldn't find on Google and I just hadn't heard of. But instead she said to me, Storm, makeup isn't made for people like me. And why would it be? No one sees us as beautiful. And it was this moment for me that I realized this wasn't about just not being able to use makeup. It was about what not being able to use makeup meant. It was about every single time you went to do your makeup, feeling like you were the failure. Never seeing yourself represented in beauty advertising, in makeup, in anything that represented you as beautiful. And what that said about your place in the world, how society sees you, and your belonging and your worth. And that was the part that made me realize I needed to do something about it. I couldn't just know that there was this problem, know that it impacts so many, in particular young girls with disability, and just not do anything about it. So I went on a journey, or we'll start with some stats before I jump in. So things that I learned before I went into the let's design the products phase is, you do your research. What we realized is 1 in 5 people live with disability. So a really huge part of our population, yet less than 4% of all beauty and personal care products are accessible, which means there's a huge gap. A massive gap. And the thing about the disability community is that every single person in this room will enter the disability community as we age. That is statistically what will happen, and it's going to be more and more challenging, and everyone will become more and more disabled if we don't make products and spaces accessible. So I knew that this was a problem. I knew that there was, I guess, a gap in the market that was completely overlooked. And the more people I spoke to with disability, the more I realized the significance of this. So I set out on a journey of designing products. Now, I have zero background in product design whatsoever, and thought, okay, how am I going to do this? Originally, I thought, okay, I'm going to need to make accessible makeup. That's the solution here. But I did lots of focus groups with people with disability and engaged in a co-design process, which I now realize is so important when we're designing for minority groups. And part of that process, we discovered that people with disability don't want to use different makeup. They just want to use the same makeup as everyone else. They just want it to be accessible. So after lots of, design iterations and going through, I guess, a big development journey, we came up with the idea of making an attachment to makeup products. Now, I originally thought I'm going to need an attachment for a mascara, I'm going to need one for a nail polish, an eyeliner, all these different ones. And I was having this focus group, and one of the girls who's actually sitting there, Katie in the wheelchair, she said to me, can't I just use this on all the different products? Why do I need different products for different makeup items? And I was like, oh, yeah, duh. So simple, right? I mean, that whole so simple moment actually turned into 113 different variations of an opening. I did look at my CAD files the other day and I was like, oh wow, that's a lot. But the point of that is like having focus groups and talking to your consumer base from the very, very beginning gives you so much insight beyond what, my assumption said. Because if I didn't talk to my community and I didn't talk to people who lived with the experience, I would have made accessible makeup that literally no one wanted except for me. So very much went on a very big design journey, and it looks really pretty above of like, oh, you just go step by step by step. This messy mess is me making them all in my garage. So taught myself how to 3D model, again, zero experience in this. Learned how to injection silicone mold in my garage, which you can see the very makeshift versions of this here. And we just designed prototypes after prototypes, and every single time we sat down with groups of people with diverse needs and we tested them. We were like, what's working, what's not working? Finally, we had to make the decision. The perfectionist in me had to go, okay, no, we have to draw a line here. These ones are going to be the ones that we release to market, and these are our makeup accessories. So we have a ball shape, which is better for people who can curl their fingers. but may struggle with like arthritis or dexterity, because it allows you to grip on with a full assist instead of just the fine motor control that's usually required for makeup. And then we have a more paddle shaped grip. Now that one's better for people who can't curl their fingers as well. So people potentially, people who have had like a stroke, or for someone like me, I have a more like flaccid kind of cerebral palsy, so I struggle with grip strength and curling my fingers, so I can slide it like right in between my fingers. So they are kind of designed for this, they're the same grip, but for different kinds of support and access needs. Now we only launched, this is them displayed a little bit more pretty. We only launched, I think it's exactly 8 weeks ago, and a lot's happened in that 8 weeks. And I'll also highlight my box here as well, because one of the other things I came to realize through this whole product development journey is that I was so focused on making accessible products. I was like, okay, went to come to the packaging and was like, oh, hold on a second. Packaging is super inaccessible. What am I gonna do? Found these like boxes that I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna, have these as shelf-ready boxes. But I'm an e-commerce brand. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna put my accessible box inside of inaccessible packaging in the mail. Doesn't make sense. So had to kind of redesign the mailer experience as well. So added an easy tear strip and added a ribbon at the top to allow people to put their hands in and then open it just a little bit easier. So something really important to me was thinking about accessibility needs from the very start, from the very touch point with my consumer to them actually using the product, because a lot of the feedback that I was getting in these sessions was how frustrating it is when you're so excited to get something in the mail and you're like, oh my God, like it's, you're watching the tracking come, you're counting down the days, and then you get it and you can't actually open it, or you have to wait for your support worker to come and open it for you, or your mum or someone else gets to take away that little bit of joy you have in that unboxing experience. So it's a little bit on my boxes, but like I said, we've launched, I think it's just exactly 2 months now, so 8 weeks, and it's been a little bit of a whirlwind. In our first 2 months, we've just sold our 2,000 products, so our last batch of the 1,000, which is really cool. And our first customer is actually Celeste Barber with Buoy Beauty, which was insanely cool, and never would have expected in my wildest dreams that we could do something like this. But honestly, I just cold DM'd her and sent her my pitch and was like, look, I loved her products, and I was like, your products are amazing, but they're really not accessible, and this is like, not really on brand for you, who's a very big, like wants to celebrate, body positivity and celebrate everyone at all abilities. And I got this call from her, and she literally said to me, can I swear? Yeah. Okay. She said to me, holy fucking shitballs. And I was like, who is this? And she was like, she goes, I was trying to design my products to be accessibly priced, and I never thought about accessibility, of being able to actually use them before. Like, we need to do something about this. How are we gonna do this? Which was, an amazing call to get. And I was like, who is this? Like, oh my God. I realized it was her, and I was like, okay, cool. And she literally wanted to do something yesterday. She was like, yeah, okay, so like we need these released like now. I'm like, okay. So we went through a development journey with her, and she bought my first products. We did them in her colorway, which is really cool. But the bigger picture for me, outside of just the products, is we have now redesigned all of her packaging for all of her products to make it more accessible. And we're now working on making her website more accessible, and her EDMs, and the whole brand messaging and story more inclusive and more accessible. And that's my dream and my mission with all of this is to make beauty accessible for the 700 million women who have never been considered when it comes to beauty. And to get someone like Celeste Barber, obviously with her like celebrity profile, but also just a mainstream beauty brand, to not just go, oh, it's too much. It's too much of an issue. It's too big of a deal. It's just, like a nice idea, but it's going to be so much rework and product development. She was like, no, absolutely, we need to do this straight away. So my next, I guess, things that I'm trying to do now is collaborate with more beauty brands. One, it gets the message and the reach out there, and it's also part of the reason why I designed the products the way that I did, so they become a third-party solution for accessibility. Because the more beauty brands and big retailers I speak to, I realize that when we say we want to make things accessible and inclusive, it's a great message, but then we need to look at it practically. And for big beauty brands, that's designing millions of dollars, redesigning millions of dollars worth of stock and retail and redesigning so many things. And when you're working with big brands, it's not as easy as you'd like it to think. And honestly, what I originally thought it would be like. I'm like, we just make stuff accessible. Like, this is so easy. Got the little reality check, but my products allow other brands to be accessible by being a third-party solution. And that, for me, is kind of the start of the conversations, the start of the messaging for them, and the start of them going, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. So when they redesign new products, they come up with new product concepts, they're building in accessibility to the very standard, like to the very start, and they're using it as a design principle the whole way through. That's my, my big mission with all of this, is to just make accessibility the standard, because the truth is it's actually not hard to make things accessible. What I've realized, it's the lack of awareness and education for the mainstream beauty community and just mainstream consumers as well. If you don't live with the problem, you've probably never thought about it. And I was the perfect person to know about the problem, being in this space for so long, having my own challenges, but it took me breaking my arm for me to actually realize and understand how big the problem is. So that is, I guess, the mission and what we're really trying to do. I don't know if I have any more slides here. These are just some of my beautiful models. So something that's super important to me is the representation part of it, and showing our community as the beautiful people that they are, because representation is a really, really important part of this, because if you can't see it, you can't dream it, you can't be it. And I think our gorgeous models are paving the way for other girls with disability. And Holly there, who has become one of my best friends, she has now got a modeling contract since modeling with us. It was her first time ever modeling, and she's now signed to one of the biggest modeling agencies because of the reach that Celeste had, and the amplification of her story as well, which is just literally my dream. And I think that's a wrap. So if you guys want to follow us, that would be amazing, and help kind of spread the message. Beauty really should be accessible, and it's just something that I think we all believe should happen, but it's just the realization for a lot of people of going, oh, I've never thought about this. Let's just do it. Let's just change something about it. So thank you so much for listening to me yap. If anyone has any questions, fire away. Oh, sorry, was I out of the thing there? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. I was like, oh, did I just ruin your camera?
2 seconds before she started, I was like, make sure you're in frame. And she's like, no, just kidding.
See ya.
That was fantastic. I met Storm May last year, before, I feel like before this journey really took off for you. And I still never tire from hearing your story. I feel like I hear the updates, every month or so, but then when you tell your story again, I get so excited, the first time, because it's just such an inspiring story for everybody. So thank you so much for being here and sharing that. So we do have a few questions that some people ask at registration, so we'll just go through a couple of them. You did answer a few of them throughout your presentation, so we won't do all of them, and then we'll throw to you guys in the audience, because I'm sure after that amazing presentation you have your own questions. But I had one of my own before we start, because I'm the host, so I get to pick first.
And I pick me.
You obviously said about your collaboration at the end and how you cold DM'd to kind of make that happen. Have you had a situation where you've cold DM'd and someone's pushed back? because obviously Celeste was like, oh, you're right, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this, but have you had a situation where someone's been like, no, or?
No, I haven't. I've had lots of ghosting though. Lots of just like no responses, which, you know, that's fine. But you build a thicker skin the more you do it. Like I was so nervous to like cold DM anyone because I'm like, oh my God, what are they gonna think of me? Like, oh my God. And now I'm just like, oh well, like if you don't respond, you don't respond. Like not brand aligned, but also like I try to reach out to people who are, like who I can tell are brand aligned or just like values aligned in what they're doing. Because most people just have never considered it before. And even like, you know, the big companies like Benefit, I'm in conversations with at the moment, they had never really considered like accessibility at all, but they actually came to me with a problem where they wanted to have more representation and they wanted to be gifting more disabled influencers, but they weren't sure if they were going to be offending the influencers by giving them inaccessible products. And so they, honestly, it's a really common thing that I'm seeing with a lot of brands is that people are so scared to get it wrong that they actually don't start. And, you know, unfortunately we've had some pretty, pretty unfortunate examples, particularly in like the Black beauty community as well. Like, I don't know if anyone's across like the whole youthphoria thing, but yeah, we've had some pretty bad examples of when you don't involve people from the very start in terms of like community from the very start, and you make assumptions and you just design products that aren't designed with lived experience, they often miss. And that miss and that backlash can do a lot of really bad PR damage, which is really unfortunate. But I think the message from it is really like you need to design with the community that you're trying to design for, not just sell a product because you think it's going to be another stream of revenue. And I think that's the message I'm trying to get through to brands as well, is that like, just talk to people. Like they're not scary. People just really are not scary people. But I think if you've never if you don't have friends with disability, if you don't have anyone in your life with disability, you probably have just, you know, you don't know and you get inside your head about things. So
I feel like it's actually, I mean, I understand all the other reasons why you decided to make an adaptive model instead of creating your own makeup brand. But I actually think it's brilliant in that sense, because I think if you had created a makeup brand that was accessible, or that like that's what you did, is just design an entire beauty line, that probably would have happened, where other beauty lines would have tried to follow if it boomed and then just done it wrong, and it wouldn't have been accessible at all. But by being a third party where people can just include you in the process, you're doing so many great things for your own brand, but also allowing other brands to just learn as well, which is fantastic. That's really great.
What I want it to be. I mean, it's like, it's a kind of stupid, like from a business perspective, kind of stupid to go, I want to make my products redundant because I want to make accessibility to the standard and have it inbuilt in. But, you know, now understanding how slow business moves, like, I'm like, I've got many years up my sleeve. Like, this is fine.
Absolutely. Okay, so to the questions that you guys asked, sorry about that. The first question said, did you have a following on your social media prior to the accelerator last year? And if not, how did you build this following?
No, I did not. I didn't have personal social media for like 8 years or maybe 10 years, like a really long time. So I find social media super daunting and super overwhelming, and I get very scared every single time I have to like post a video, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cringe, I hate this. But no, I didn't have any kind of following at all, but I've really tried to like grow a community, and to be honest, a lot of it is actually just getting over my own fears with it. And now we're like slowly growing like a really engaged community, which is awesome. It's been so great, and I was like, what was I so scared about? Like, this has been awesome. And I think it's the like a following, I've realized, is very different to a community, and like the community we're building is just so cool. Like, people have been so generous with their time in giving me feedback on the brand, on the products, on how we can improve our messaging. Like, that's been, yeah, really amazing. But no, we didn't have a following. I think we just started an Instagram, and I think we might have had like I don't know, like 1 follower maybe, I don't know.
I do remember
Be like me.
I remember having a conversation with you, I think it was probably week 1 or 2 of the accelerator, because I think our team thought that you were a huge social media influencer because your vibes are exactly that. So fun. And so,
Am I offended by that?
No, it was so great. You were like, what, me? No, I would never have a social media.
Like, no, not for me.
Yeah, but now it's, if anyone doesn't follow Storm on social media, the videos are very good, not cringe at all.
Thank you.
Very good.
They cringe to me when I watch them back. I'm like, oh.
The next question is kind of around that as well, which is, do you have any tips on someone starting out as to what the most important aspects of building a loyal community are?
I think it's just like engagement. I think like people don't think about it as much as you think about it is what I've realized, and I have to remind myself of this like every single day. But people really just want to see you, and they want to connect with like your brand and your mission and want to hear from you. And I think it's just like engaging with people and talking to them. Like people have been so beyond generous with their time and their feedback and wanting to be involved, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I just think like just start and just do it and actually engage. Like I remember getting messages for the first time and I was like, oh, I can't respond. Like, oh, I feel sick. Like, oh, like, I don't know. This is so awkward. This is so weird. But now it's like, it's nice. And I've made like, again, obvious point, but like, I didn't know you could make friends on social media and like actually make friendships on social media. But I have like some of my best friends are people that I've just connected with, like having ByStorm, and they're people like in my community or people who are other founders, and like, they're like my biggest fans. Like the people in my like, you know, everyday life, like they just keep scrolling. But like all these people in my in my community are like the most engaged, the most supportive, and like genuine friendships now, which is so nice.
Yeah, that's great advice. The next question is, how do you balance personal vulnerability with professional credibility when building your brand?
Oh, I don't think I do this well, so I don't know. I have just kind of realized that like the more people you speak to, particularly in like a startup space, everyone is struggling. Like everyone has kind of gone through the same things, and anyone who's showing you like the highlight reel of, oh, this is so amazing, like they're lying. The more you like talk to people and connect to people, the more you realize that like everyone has been through the exact same thing. And I try to share, like particularly on LinkedIn, for some reason I don't care about LinkedIn. I don't have the same like heebie-jeebies that I do with like TikTok. But yeah, for some reason for that, like I try to share just what's going on, all the things that I'm learning, and all the times I mess up, and all like the messy middle, as I call it. And that's actually been a really powerful like connecting tool as well. Like it, you know, may not be impressive to investors. I don't think I have any on my LinkedIn anyway, but I've had so many beautiful messages from other people saying like, thank you so much for sharing that. Like I've really been struggling with this, and I had no idea that other people were as well. Because I think particularly when you're by yourself and you're like a solo founder, you're in your head so much, and you're like, why can't I get this? Why is it so easy for everyone else and it's so hard for me? And then when someone shares something, you're like, oh, you're struggling too. This makes it so much better. Let's struggle together.
Yeah. On that, how have you felt about your journey as being a solo founder? Has there been a point where you felt like you wanted to get a co-founder?
Yeah, always. Okay. Always, honestly. Anyone looking to join a startup, I find being a solo founder really hard. Like in all honesty, I've realized, and it's only through like being, I guess, by yourself and doing things yourself, it is really hard, particularly when like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I get in my head a lot, and that creates a lot of like stagnation because I'm thinking about something so deeply. When you have, I guess, someone else there to bounce ideas off, it's a lot easier to make decisions. I have really amazing mentors, and like if you're a solo founder, like have mentors. Mentors are just life-changing, and I have people that I can call up and be like, hey, I'm really struggling with this, like what should I do? And that's been really, really helpful. But being a solo founder, I mean, I think it's for people who like, some people really like it. For me, I've realized in this that I'm actually a really big people person, and that I like being around people, and I don't want all of the like responsibility as well. I want to share the responsibility and share the workload, and also share the the highs and the lows. I think that's probably the most lonely part. It's like when it's exciting, it's like, who am I telling? Like when it's hard, it's like, who am I telling? I think that's the hardest part, like is that part. Like, you know, you can call your friends and family, but yeah, people don't get it the same way that you do.
Yeah. I feel like after this you're going to have 50 pitches. The next question is, what's been the most difficult thing for you from being a founder in this entire journey? Big or small?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I think honestly, doing it by yourself is probably the hardest part. And also doing something for the first time, like, you know, when you haven't done something before, it's super normal to go, like, to doubt yourself and to not know what you're doing. And when it's just you doing it, then I think those decisions can just take a really long time, because you're like, was this right? And I've unpacked like 300 levels, and then I'm like, but what's the decision? I don't know. So I think honestly, doing it by yourself has been really challenging. And I think it's just like the learning curve with everything. Like, I really love learning. I've always been like a lifetime learner and had special interests and liked learning stuff. But yeah, it very much forces you on a very accelerated learning journey, not just with the things you're doing, like, cool, I have to learn how to make EDMs and I have to learn how to do marketing and all these things that I had zero, you know, skills in. But also the learning that comes with like being with yourself so much, and being confronted with, you know, the things you do well, but also all of your shortcomings, like, because you have no one else to blame except for yourself. So like, if you're procrastinating, you know that you are procrastinating and you have no one else to blame. And you know, DMing people, like, I'm like hyping myself up for it because I get in my head about it. And so it's all of those things that like you realize, particularly if you're like, you're reflective, you realize, and then you go, okay, I have to problem solve this. And so I'm trying to turn all of it into, how do I problem solve this? Instead of going, okay, I suck at this. It's like, I may not be good now, but this is just a problem that I need to solve.
It's a really great way of reframing it. Do you have a mantra or a situation or something that you do before having to hype yourself up?
My mantra is do it scared. Every single day, it's what I say to myself every single day, just do it scared, because I'm scared all the time. Like, I haven't reached that point where I'm like, oh yeah, cool, this is easy. Like, literally coming in today, I was like, I'm so nervous. But, you know, I think every time you just do it anyway, you build that little bit of trust with yourself, and you learn to trust yourself a little bit more. And I think that's also something that I've very much developed on this, is like learning to trust yourself, and building your confidence. And the more times you actually just show up and do it scared, the more confident you get in going, okay, I'm gonna be scared, I'm probably gonna word vomit, I'm gonna be like shaky, I may ramble a bit, but like, it's okay, I didn't die. Like, we made it through and it's fine. And then the next time you do it, you're like, okay, I know all those things are potentials, but I know I'm not gonna die from it. And it will be fine. We will survive.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I feel like I'll use that from now on. Don't scared. That's awesome.
Literally every day.
Yeah. The next one I loved, this is a really great question. It says, outside of what you're doing now in the beauty industry, if you could redesign one aspect of the beauty industry to be radically inclusive, what would it be?
Oh, outside of the beauty industry?
Outside of what you're doing specifically right now?
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's so many things. There are so many things on my pipeline, like you should say it. I have to I'm an ideas person, so every single time I have an idea, I have to go put it on the roadmap. I have this like data dump, like whiteboard Canva thing where I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, new product, okay, on the roadmap. Like, honestly, so many things. Something that I'm working on at the moment, tinkering with in the background, is trying to make accessibility information on products more accessible. It's something that like no one actually thinks about, but a lot of people with disability go to buy things, particularly online, and don't know what material it's made out of. You can kind of like see, like, is that glass, is that plastic? Don't really know. Does it have a pump bottle? When you look on like a Mecca or a Sephora now, you'll probably start to have a look through. They never show the openings of products, like is it a pump bottle? Is it a squeeze bottle? Is it a twist cap? And those things really matter if you have accessibility challenges. So I would love to see the same way that we're seeing like ingredient information displayed, particularly like if you have like allergies or skincare sensitivities. You see that on like a Mecca now, or you know, Sephora, but having that accessibility information I think would just be so wildly helpful. But honestly, the thing about the disability industry, or like, you know, designing things for people with disability, is that it has been ignored and overlooked for so long. So like there are problems literally everywhere to solve. Like it is not a saturated market by any means. Like even just like making things prettier, like, oh my God, we only design for function when it comes to assistive tech. Everything is so ugly, like so beyond ugly, and like people just deserve better. So like even just making what we already have prettier is a thing in itself. So yeah, there are so many things, so many things.
That question would throw you, but you clearly had like the ball ready to go.
I have so many things in the pipeline, like something I'm trying to work on at the moment, which is like a very obvious thing is like for skincare, because I've had a lot of people be like, hey, I'm not really a makeup user, but I'm a skincare user. I really struggle with like opening bottles. So we're making like literally just like a little way to open bottles and jars. You know, there's some things for like cans. I don't know if anyone's across like the disability AT space, but like there's some like can openers. Oh my God, they're so ugly. Like no one would want them in like their bathroom. So we're trying to work on some like, I love that I say we, me, myself and I, are trying to work on some like bottle openers at the moment, and also things like, again, very simple idea, but like grippy stickers. So you know when you're like going to like wash your face and then you go from like your moisturizer to the next one and you're trying to open your like jars and your hands are slippery, like most people can relate to that experience. So we're just making literally like grippy stickers, like beautiful stickers that kind of bedazzle like your makeup products and your skincare products, but literally just make it easier to open, because so many people struggle with those things. Like whether you have a disability, whether you don't have a disability. And I mean, for me in particular, I've had so many skincare bottles break, because one, why are they always glass? But like you open something and then it's like broken on the floor and you're like, God damn it, where is the grip on this? So yeah, lots of things in the pipeline.
Okay, great. So we'll keep an eye out. Keep us updated. Group chat.
They're happening.
Great. The next question is about your pricing. How did you work out your pricing for this market?
I'm still working it out, to be honest. That's one of the hardest things. I don't know if I've got it right yet. I don't know. I think it's still going to be like test and iterate. Some of the advice that I had from mentors was start high and show value, because you can always go down, you can't go back up. So that's kind of where I've started. I thought it was like a reasonable price point. My products are like have a lifetime guarantee. They're literally indestructible. I'm doing a new little series at the moment where we're trying to break them and like putting them in the oven. Like they're silicone, they literally can't break them. Like trying to get like my partner who's like a bodybuilder to try to like rip them open. Like you can't break them. So we've tried to price them based on like, you know, they're, I guess, not a consumable product that you're like, oh, it's like $10, but it's also something that you will use forever. And the response that we've had back from the people who are using them every day are like, this is life-changing, which is, you know, the thing that I'm like, oh, this is all worth it. Like I get these beautiful messages from people. I got a message from a makeup artist yesterday who said, I was gonna have to take the day off work today because my hands are just not cooperating. She has a chronic illness and had a really incredible reception from the chronic illness community, and that was something that I wasn't expecting at all and didn't think about when I was designing. And she was like, I could actually go to work today because I could use your products. Like I would have had to take the day off and lost income if because I'm just having a flare up. And she's like, thank you so much. So it's like hearing the little stories like that, I'm literally gonna cry. It's the little stories that you're like, oh, this is worth it. Yeah. And I'm hoping that kind of shows the value as well for her, that like she's now like, you know, $40 versus my income for work makes it worth it. My products are also claimable on the NDIS. So like one of the biggest kind of thinking through processes on this is like, I need these to be accessibly priced, but like $45 isn't super accessible for people. So part of my like thinking around this was that I need to be like NDIS registered, and I need to make sure that these are claimable for people who are on income support and who do have significant disabilities and may not be able to work. So they still can be claimed. And I also like, because this is just bad business and I'm just a bit of a sucker, that like whenever anyone messages me being like, I can't afford it, I'm like, just take them. Because I'm like, I genuinely just want to like help people, and like I know I will make the money other ways. And honestly, in doing that, like I've had incredibly loyal advocates from it too.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way from the original question at the start about building a really loyal community too, because they feel, obviously then these people are feeling like you really care about them and not just the product.
Yeah, that's been really nice. And I've been trying to like be really intentional with that. So even things like if someone like adds to cart and they don't make a purchase within, I can't remember, like 3 to 5 days or something, I just send like an email to them, like it's all automated, but it comes from me, just to say like, hey, I was wondering like why you didn't purchase. If you could like leave me feedback, I'll just send you products. And I've had people give me some incredible feedback because of it. I set up like an anonymous form as well, just because like, you know, feedback's awkward. If they want to give me like feedback and don't want it to be, you know, literally response. And I've had some of the best feedback from it as to like why they haven't purchased or what didn't make sense for them and what were the barriers. And that's also been really cool. And now I've like gifted them products, they're like promoting them like constantly, which is really cool. So I've like, I don't know, got like free UGC out of it almost, which is not the intention, but a really nice part of that.
Yeah, that's really great. The final question that I have before I hand over to you guys is, if you could go back to day one before you started any of this, what would you tell yourself, knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's hard. What would I tell myself? Honestly, just to get out of your own head and just do it anyway. Like, I think put the biggest blocks up to yourself. But when you believe you can do something, as bloody like cliche and corny as it is, like it really does make a difference. If you just tell yourself like, you can do it, you will. And I think I spent so long ruminating, trying to be like perfect, or trying to, you know, I'm not going to post it until it's perfect, or I sound like an idiot, or whatever it is. Yeah, I think just like do it anyway and just like get over yourself.
That's great advice. Yeah, I love that of all the questions, that's the one that stumped you. Thank you so much. I will hand over to you guys in just a second, but before we do, we just have sorry, I have to flick through a few slides there. Just have a quick survey. If everyone could just grab up your phones and answer this, just 3 questions, it'll take you 30 seconds. It just allows us to know what you want to see more of, so we can keep putting on events like this.
Always getting the feedback.
Yeah, always. You can receive it too.
Excellent.
Storm walked in, for everyone who wasn't here at the beginning of the morning. Storm walked in and saw her photo up on the screen, and she was like, oh my God.
I was like, oh, that is a very large picture of me. Oh my God. I'm like, God, my hair's grown.
Yeah.
These are extensions. It's all fake.
They are?
Is it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Your hair can't grow that long. And like that was like a year ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, it's a very big photo.
That they want to start with?
No,
Matthew?
yeah. Hey, Matthew.
About the importance of mentors and said, go and get mentors. Can you talk through your process or what your experience was like in sort of collecting mentors?
Yeah. I love that, because I actually do feel like I've collected mentors. Some of them, actually most of them have been like pretty fortuitous. I haven't actually like gone out and like sought mentors. I'm actually now in the position of doing that. So now I've kind of been like, oh, okay, I actually need help from people with like specific skill sets, and like who can I go and ask for help with those things? Or so now I'm kind of more in that position of like actually going to look. But I think for me it was like I've tried to take every opportunity there is and try to like network as much as there is and like just try to connect with people. And that's been a really scary thing to do. Like I really had to get over myself for that. Like, you know, it's a lot easier like sitting behind your laptop and like making all these plans and like, but meeting people is such a game changer, and like being connected with I2N as well has been amazing. Like my mentors in this program are still mentors outside of this program as well, which is really awesome. I did a disability tech accelerator as well. This was like this was pre-I2N. They kind of helped me validate that this is kind of a good idea. And they're still my mentors as well, and that network of people has been amazing. So I would say in terms of like mentorship, I think it starts with putting yourself out there, because like no one's just gonna come to you. You're not just gonna like sit behind your computer, never talk to anyone and be like, oh, I've had all these mentors reach out to me just wanting to like mentor me, which is honestly what I thought was gonna happen. But you actually have to like go out and meet people and actually like ask as well. Like I remember meeting one of my mentors, Claire, which was like a warm intro. She was actually looking for someone to mentor because she'd like exited P Nation, like the activewear brand, etc., etc. And I went to have a coffee with her, and I was so nervous. Oh my god, I was dying, because I was like, I know so much about you. This is so weird. I've like spent weeks like stalking you, and like, you know, she's got a profile, and so I met with her, and then literally at the end, I was like, so like, will you be my mentor? Like, and she was like, yeah, absolutely. But something that I've learned in that is that like, people's time is really, really, really valuable and really like limited as well. So if they are taking the chance on you and giving you their like really like limited time, like don't just waste it. Like, you know, I try to like send her questions that I'm like, hey, I'm specifically asking, like I specifically need help with these things, or like, can I get your advice specifically on this? So it's not just like, you know, hey, we've got, you know, half an hour together, an hour together, and I'm just sitting there like, you know, not prepared, and going like, oh, I don't know. So I think, yeah, I don't know if that was helpful at all, but yeah, making sure you're prepared for mentorship as well. And also like, one of the things that I've kind of had to realize as well is that like being vulnerable, because like you also want to impress your mentors and be like, look how amazing I am, but you don't get help by doing that. Like actually being vulnerable and actually sharing that, like, hey, I'm actually struggling with this, or this isn't going well at the moment and I'm actually not sure where to go. I think that has also been a learning as well, because like, you know, I'm a chronic people pleaser, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to show you that I'm struggling, but that's actually been something that's been really, really helpful, is actually just being like vulnerable and being like, hey, I need help here. Like, you know, what's your perspective and what's your take on this? And people have been so beautifully generous with their time, and people are a lot nicer than you think that they're going to be. Like people are heaps more willing to support you than you probably think.
That's great advice. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Matt. Does anyone else have a question?
I do.
One of the questions I have is, obviously, thank you, one, for talking about this. What you're doing is so inspiring. And I was curious, when you were talking earlier about creating all the different MVPs to try to figure out what product you wanted to do, how did you go about funding? Did you decide to, you know, fund things yourself, or do VC? Like, what did that look like?
I'm very broke. This is all self-funded, but you know, I have privilege in this as well. So one of the things I've kind of realized being in this whole like startup thing is people like, oh yeah, no, like I haven't raised any capital, but like, you know, I did like a friends and family round and like we raised like a couple of mil. Like, so what? Friends and family have like a couple $1 million lying around. So I try to be like very transparent, because I think it's not spoken enough about this, and I don't know if like your algorithms are the same same, but like you see all these people like spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing and they're like, oh yeah, I'm bootstrapped. I'm like, how? Like this is a joke. So I had a lot of privilege in, I sold a company, so I could start this, like I sold it for $75,000, so I could invest it all in this. And I also work as well. So this is not my full-time job at this point in time. I still work and I work for myself, so I have a lot of privilege in being able to like make my own hours and be really flexible with how I work. So yes, at the moment it is all just me, but it's, that's challenging. Like it's definitely challenging. Like the product development is super expensive, heaps more expensive than I ever could have imagined, particularly when you throw in things like patents and registered designs and like just like email fees. Like I got like an $850 bill yesterday from my lawyer reading an email and I was like, awesome, this is great. Yeah, those things are really expensive. So I had lots of privilege and I also have a partner who like, he's allowed me to pursue what I want to do because he works full time as well. So I think there's like a lot of privilege in that because not many, like if it was just me, I would be really, really, really struggling, but because he works as well and we can support each other, that also really, really helps. But funding's been challenging because there isn't a brand or a business to point to as an example yet when it comes to accessible beauty. It's hard to make the case. It's also hard to make the case when we only have really big numbers and we don't have like we have a lot of flattened data when it comes to disability. You know, we have a lot of flattened data when it comes to beauty in general, but yeah, we don't have a lot of the data because no one does the research because we still don't care enough about disability to actually do the research. So, you know, you're pitching to investors and using like the big census numbers and things because that's all the data we have and they're like, okay, like sure. But we don't really have the business use case yet where like, you know, I like reference like the black beauty industry quite a lot. Because it's kind of gone through a really similar trajectory. Like, you know, how obvious is having foundation that matches your skin? Like, it's just the most obvious thing ever. But 10 years ago, wild concept that anyone would want to have foundation that matched their skin or go into a store and be able to purchase foundation. And, you know, Rihanna came along and, you know, with Fenty Beauty, they, you know, she's obviously a celebrity as well, but, you know, trailblazed that. And now, you know, it's pretty much the standard that brands now have, you know, 40 or 50 shades of foundation as a very standard concept, but it took her coming along and pioneering that. And a lot of like smaller black beauty founders were then able to point to an example to say, there is a market here, like invest in us because there is a market. And, you know, I think Rihanna had $150 million in her first 40 days. So like they're solid numbers. There's obviously a use case and obviously a market there. So it's a lot easier to pitch and be like, hey, here we go. But without having that, it does, yeah, just make it a little bit more tricky in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being so transparent about numbers as well. I think that it's definitely helpful for people to hear about people's experiences.
Oh, I had no idea, to be honest. If I knew how much money it was going to cost to start, I don't know I would have done it. So sometimes ignorance is bliss. But yeah, I think we just don't talk about it enough. And I think you just see so many people being like, they just like look like they're killing it. And how are they doing all this stuff? And you're like, oh, because they have family and friends rounds of funding. Like, you're like, yeah. Like I met someone the other day who's launching into a retail distribution. It's a laundry powder, like it's a whole thing. You'll see in Woolworths soon. But anyway, no social media presence, no nothing to start. And they're already launching into a national retailer, like insane. And then you're like, this just makes no sense. Like, how is this happening? And then you find the backstories and it's like, oh, well, the mum's actually friends with this person and then they actually invested $2 million to start it from my grandpa and blah, blah, blah. And you hear the backstory after and you're like, Oh, but none of that was said to me at the start. I did my digging after. But I think, you know, when we try to like impress people by being like, oh, like, you know, this is so amazing. Like, I leave those conversations being like, well, I feel like an idiot. Like, how are you able to do that? Am I just not trying hard enough? Like, you know, you end up blaming yourself instead of realizing that there's so much invisible privilege that no one talks about. And I think it really should be spoken about because we need more transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have because it is almost 9 o'clock and I know a lot of people.
Oh, sorry.
Can we all please give a really big round of applause to Storm? Storm does have to run off soon, but she did say that she was happy to stay around for 10 to 15 minutes if anyone wants to say hi. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is if this is your first time at I2N, first of all, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Taylor, so if you haven't met me, come and say hi to me after. But we do have a female leadership and entrepreneurship program that is starting brand new this year in October, and our applications are currently open for it. It's called Flip. Applications close on the 14th of September. So if you if you have an idea or you're wanting to kind of expand in that entrepreneurial and leadership side of things, please come and see me afterwards, and I'd love to chat to you about it. Applications, like I said, close on the 14th, and we do have an event tomorrow night here, the same spot from 5 till 7, which is our speed networking event, which Storm is also speaking at. So if you want to come really come and see that.
That whole like say yes to all opportunities, and I was like, oh wow, this is a big week.
So please come along if you want to. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you at the next event. Have a good Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.